hearing, the special use review for Blanket Networks.
Oh,
I'm just wondering.
if there's anybody who wants to oppose it.
Right, and also, go into an actual hearing, there hasn't been a motion made to go into the actual hearing. I was just, I guess calling a point of order.
Yeah, sorry about that. I actually thought that we had approved this. This must be for another section, but,
I think we had discussed it, yes.
all right, good call. Thanks. Let's go.
I move that we go into a public hearing for a special use review for Blanca Networks fiber optic cable install on, Forbes, within Forbes Park.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, we are in public hearing. Is anybody from the public or anyone else opposed to the cable install in Forbes Park?
Hi, guys. This is Josh. I work at Blanca Networks, and I just wanted to see if you had any additional questions for me.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I don't hear any questions, Josh, right now.
I got a question.
We discussed a while back, actually, and I think everybody was on board.
Okay.
You do have a question, from the floor, I believe.
Yeah, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir, I am.
Yeah, my name's Jonathan Masters, and I'm out here by the Lobato Bridge, the Rio Grande Ranchos, so I was wondering if that has anything to do with me. Is there any way you all get any internet out here?
Let me look. Hold on for a second. What's that called? Rio Grande Ranchos?
Yes, Rio Grande Ranchos. It might be easier just to search the Lobato Bridge. It's only a mile away.
Okay. And is that in Forbes?
It's in southwest Costilla County, so I know that Blanca telephone, don't you all do more internet than just Blanca? It's the greater area.
Yeah, our service territory is from Deer Valley to Weddington. So let me talk about that. Is there, and I can reach back out to you, sir. Is there like a phone number I can call you at?
Yeah, 719-298-1424.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
1224, you said?
Yeah, 298-1424.
1424. Yeah, this project here that is on the table is to do fiber in the lower third of.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. I was just hoping it could reach out to me.
Yeah, let me reach out to you privately on that note, okay, sir, if that would work?
Yeah, no, that works. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
There was a letter dated May the 7th of 2019 from, looks like Laura, the park manager, indicating that they were approving the installation of optic cable at the Forbes Park middle section. It was being proposed outside the middle section.
Yeah, so about a year ago, they came with a different, I can put them on the screen, a proposal for the middle section. That was different, and I guess maybe that's what you guys are recalling this. If you look at the cover sheet, it's called the back section. Let me get this,
So they're still at the middle. They're starting where they left off in the middle, and they're going towards the back.
Right, all I'm just making reference is that the letter from the Forbes Park people authorized the installation or the burying of the cable in the middle section. There is no such grant of authority for any area other than the middle section.
Should we, this is Lauren. Hi, good morning. Should we modify and just draft a letter that's more specific to this area of the project?
Well, ma'am, you are the lady that drafted that May 2019 letter?
I likely signed it, and it was drafted concurrent with our board.
Okay. I guess my question is, does the board have any objection to the installation or the burying of fiber optic cable on roads other than the middle section in the Forbes Park subdivision?
No.
Okay, and would you, for the record, please state your full name and indicate whether or not you have the authority to authorize that installation?
My name is Lauren Haber. I am park manager at Forbes Park. Ultimately, the authority rests on our board of 5 directors. So if that need be, I can certainly obtain a formal document to submit to you all to that effect.
I think it would make the file complete and would avoid any later complaints that there was no authority from the board who has the authority to grant that permission.
Agreed.
Is that what you would like in your file, Tara and Board of Commissioners?
That would be good.
Okay. All right, I don't have any other questions of the park.
I'm fine with that. I don't think that we've ever heard an objection to the fiber optic. I think everybody in Forbes Park wants fiber optic, and everybody thinks it's a good project. So,
Mr. Chairman, the only concern that it was ever raised with the installation of fiber optic was placing it in the middle of the road, county roads anyway, and since these are not county roads and we don't maintain them, that's not a concern that the county would have. But I think the objection you have consistently heard is the placement along county roads and where they're actually placed.
right. I don't know if you remember that conversation, Josh, but that was, something that was brought up was the placement of the cables. But other than that, it's something that something that everybody wants for sure.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right. Can we approve it on that condition then, Edward?
Yes.
Okay, I will send something to you, Ben, and the county commissioners as soon as I get that as soon as possible.
You guys okay with making a motion to approve it on condition that letter from the board that there are no objections?
If there's if there's no one else who would like to speak in the public hearing, I would move that we go back into our regular session.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks again, Lawrence. Now can we get a motion?
I make that motion. I'll second. Lawrence will second.
All right, all in favor of accepting the granting special use review permit for Forbes Park fiber optic? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Hey, Lauren.
Yes.
This is Josh from Blanca Telephone. I'm going to, if you can get that letter submitted to the county as soon as possible.
Certainly.
And again, we have everything ready to go, so we'll get started here.
Yep. I can do that today, by the end of the day.
Okay, thank you guys. I'm going to go ahead and drop off.
Thanks, Josh.
All right, bye.
All right. Issue with Excel Energy installing power poles without a permit.
So I've been having problems with Excel Energy because the electrical lines have to be underground here in the county, and I have been having problems with one of the girls that she's been putting poles up. But did contact her supervisor. I did send him the land use code where it says that it has to be underground. So he was going to come down and check to see if that pole was the legal. If it is, they are going to remove it and they will put it underground. So he did talk to the lady that I've been having problems with. So now she's been working with me these past couple of days. She's been working really good with me.
All right, well, thank you for that, Tara. Now there's a reason why, that land use, rule was put in place quite a few years ago. We'd like to adhere to that. So thanks for being on top of it, and, I appreciate the fact that you're, sticking to your guns there. I know in some cases it makes it more expensive, but it really does keep property values, protect property values, and there's a reason for it. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Update on the new county floodplain maps.
So I talked to Doug, he's the one from the came from the state. He did inform me that there is going to be new maps coming out for our county. So the guy that is doing the maps, he did contact me yesterday. The maps won't be done until 2022, but right now we could follow the old ones right now, because he said there is going to be a very big change on the new ones. We will have to have public meetings just to inform the public. But once all those maps are out, I could send them to you guys, and then we can start having public meetings.
Thanks, Tara. And if I could just jump in with a little background, especially to Stephen and Mike. So back in June of 2017, the county, it was basically a mandate, but the county approved a local Costilla County floodplain damage prevention ordinance, and it's been part of our land use code since. The thing is, we've been working off of very old state or federal, I can't remember, generated floodplain maps. I think a lot of them were from the 70s. So even in 2017, as we were going through this process, we were being told by the agencies that your maps are getting updated because the current maps show very little floodplain areas. So there was definitely minimal impact when people came for development. But we kept being told they're getting updated. You'll see them eventually. You'll see them eventually. Well, just last week, the land use, Tara got a call that they're getting close to finishing them. And like Tara said, they gave her a heads up that there's going to be extensive new areas that'll be in a floodplain in these maps. We don't know where, we haven't seen it, but I think Tara called me, and we figured we can give you guys the update about the maps coming, and you can see I have on the screen the ordinance we approved on June 8th of 2017. So this will probably be a whole nother layer that the land use office will have to deal with once these maps these new maps are in effect. I just want to give that update. Thanks.
And who's the agency updating them then?
I forget. It might be, is it the Division of Water Resources, Tara? Do you know who called you last week?
So it's the guy that does the flood, it's like part of almost like FEMA.
Oh, okay. So it's probably emergency management.
But he was, because, see, I didn't know our office was doing this, and he called me and he let me know that I guess Jason, well, I guess it started with Trinidad, and then Jason took over, and then he said, well, now that you're the land use administrator, you have to take over. I was like, okay. I was surprised, but.
Yeah. Well, it's good to warn people that are getting building permits and road access permits in those areas that the banks are probably going to make them carry flood insurance. That's if they can actually qualify. So it's going to affect where people are building, in my opinion. So I would just give a heads up to the people once you do those updated maps that we do have new floodplains, and they might want to look at them before they get a mortgage.
Yeah, that's right. You want to have community meetings just to inform the people if they won't get shocked when they have to get flood insurance.
Yeah, 'cause it's going to affect existing residents as well.
In the permitting process, you actually have to comply with some very, very stringent standards, including the engineering of any structure you're gonna put within the floodplain. So it goes beyond just getting flood insurance.
Okay.
Looks like someone has a question, Stephen. Has Sean Sheridan raised their hand on the chat feature? Sean, can you hear us or can you speak?
Yeah, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just recently, I worked down in Costilla County as a farmer last year, and I bought 80 acres of land, south of San Luis on 159. Just wondering where these floodplains or predicted floodplain areas are, and if that kind of falls within there.
Can you say the area again, Sean?
Yeah, I'm about 10 miles south of San Luis on Highway 159, about 4 miles north of Garcia. 159 actually cuts my property. 3/4 of it's on the east side and 1/4 of it's on the west side. Right around, literally about 3 miles south of the little Sanchez overflow reservoir.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a low-lying area to me, but Sean, they really haven't given us a heads up as far as I know where these new areas will be, but that does not seem like a low-lying area at all to me. What were you going to say, Steve?
Yeah, I would have to look at it a little bit closer. I think the closer you are to 159, probably the safer you are. I'm sure that area below the dam at the stabilization there is probably in a floodplain.
Okay.
For sure, you know, the river that goes out to the Eastdale when it's flowing during the winter.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I just wanted to double check. I'm getting ready to file all my permits and stuff, so I just want to make sure I don't need to file anything extra I wasn't planning for.
How would
We
that
are
work?
empowered to use the old floodplain map. So you can reference the old floodplain maps that were developed in the 70s, I think, and we should have a copy of those, don't we, Ben?
So, Edwin, would he have to, I guess, once the maps are updated, if he got his building permits and all of that before the maps were up, would he be okay? Would we have to?
Yeah, right now, he only has to comply with the floodplain ordinance and the floodplain map as it presently exists.
Right.
So if he were to get his building permit and he's outside the floodplain map, if you later come into it, my interpretation is you probably get grandfathered in. But
Yes.
that may not address the issue of flood insurance if there's a mortgage on it.
Yeah. But either way, I plan to build on the west side, which is right on the foothills of that ridge line right there, so it's definitely higher on that side. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to eat up your guys' time. I just heard that, and I was like, I should check if I'm gonna fall into this new area.
Are
But
those
it sounds like I'm not really that close to it.
floodplain maps? Are they posted online anywhere for the public?
When you apply for your permits, the county land use administrator will review the location of the proposed structure as it relates to the floodplain. And she will inform you as to whether or not you are subject to the floodplain ordinance, and the permitting requirement. My suspicion is that you probably have responsibility to make that determination, not you.
True.
Okay.
What are we doing now?
There are floodplain extension request for Forest Park Spring Fire land use suspensions.
So Lauren sent me a letter and, there was a recreational vehicle campground that they were letting, people that lost their homes in Forks Park to go ahead and use that. So they were just wanting to know if you guys would extend it again. Another thing they wanted to see if they were gonna be extending the permit for fees waived if you lost a home or a. So they just want to know if they can get another extension, because the first one was for 3 years, and the 3 years is already coming up, so they were just wanting to see. Another thing is they're asking for is that, right now the permit for like a pump house or if you lost a garage and all that is waived. But other landowners in Forks Park are wanting to put a shed before a home. So they were wanting to know if Forks Park could do that, which you have to have a home before an accessory building. We are letting the people that did lose their accessory buildings put those ones up because they lost them on the spring fire, but other landowners are wanting to put it. Just a quick correction, it was a 2-year extension since the spring fire, of 2018. So they're wanting to extend it.
Right.
Yeah.
There's kind of two issues. One is these allowances that were permitted after the spring fire. It's not a signed copy, but Jason and I worked on a letter after these 3 things were approved, which is on the screen: the extended long-term camping, the approval of an RV park at the community center, and allowance of construction of pump houses no larger than 120 square feet. So that was approved in the past to kind of help the Forbes Park community rebuild after the fire, and I believe they're asking, for an extension. I think it was allowed for 2 years. This letter actually says it will be reviewed every year. Either way, I think that's the first request is these previously granted allowances, can they be allowed to continue as Forbes Park continues to rebuild? So I think let's maybe keep that one in front of you, and then there was a different request, which would be something new.
Well, see a distinction there, and correct me if I'm wrong, but distinction would be between the people who lost their structures and are wanting to put buildings that aren't homes, and people that are having new buildings or have new permits or haven't had a home there and didn't lose the building and are wanting to put a structure without having a home.
Well, that's not part of the letter that Ben and Jason approved. That second matter is not anything that the board has ever taken any action on, and it would require actually a determination on an application as made and submitted to the land use administrator. I think carte blanche determination that anyone who wants to build a home gets to put in an auxiliary building before they put in a principal structure is really a change in your land use code.
Right, and that's why I wanted to make that distinction. So, it's like everyone says, carte blanche to put in an auxiliary building unless you've actually lost an auxiliary building and your home. Is that correct?
It was authorized with the construction of a well house, not an auxiliary building, a well house. I mean, that is an auxiliary building, but there are other types of auxiliary buildings.
So even under auxiliary building, this is specifically only for a well house.
Is that correct, Ben?
Yeah, I believe so. The letter says the allowance for the construction of a pump house. Yep. So a specific type of auxiliary building that was permitted previously.
Okay, so is that clear to everybody, that it's only for people that their homes and lost the auxiliary building in the form of a well house. So we're not making, I just want to be absolutely clear, because that's going to come up, I can guarantee it.
I would move that we extend the RV camping for I don't want to do that, and next year I won't be here. I would like to propose that we do this yearly, so that we can have this conversation with Forks Park and see where they are and see what it is. I think it's important that we come together once a year and see where we're at with that. So I would move that we accept the RV camping for a 1-year period.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay, hold on. Ben, so we're doing these as two different issues. The RV park is one, right?
Yeah, there are two different issues. So the first one is the RV park extending the long-term camping period beyond 2 weeks, mostly because people are camping and still cleaning up their lots. And then the third thing is still allow the construction of a pump house on lots that burned. Those three things were all approved together a couple months after the fire. And the first request is to continue allowing those three things, as Jason wrote in the second paragraph of the letter, in no particular order, or as follows: extended long-term camping, approval of a temporary RV park at the community center, and the allowance of the construction of pump houses no longer than 120 square feet. Those were the three things approved in the past that they were requesting an additional warrants moved, at least for one of them, for an additional year.
And I would change my motion to go ahead and include the other two.
There is an additional letter that was sent by our board president that was specifically, this was more of an addendum type of a letter that I sent to Tara yesterday, just when I received it from him, that is that I don't know if Tara has the copy there, but it.
Ben, did you get the letter that he sent yesterday after I called you?
Let me look, Tara. Hold on.
This one is more specifically addressing a type of what we might call a tool shed for folks. Again, this is folks who were directly affected by the fire, to have a small tool shed to store their tools as they're mitigating and cleaning their lots.
Yeah, I do have that letter. I could put that up. What I was hoping to do is to deal with these in two different, because one
okay,
was
perfect. I just wanted to make sure that, yeah.
Yeah. So
yep.
we can look at that next. I know
Sounds
Lawrence
good.
had a motion on the floor.
Oh.
Okay, so let's deal with those three. The extension of the well house, the extension of the RV parking, and the extended camping. There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, Ben, now you want to explain that letter a little bit?
Yeah, give me a second. Let me just get it up.